Hello, and welcome to Math Matters. I'm Mrs. Parker. Today we're going to explore line graphs through a strategy called slow reveal graphs. Here's what you should be able to do at the end of the lesson. You are learning how to read and understand the data from a line graph. Here are some materials you will need for today's lesson. You will need a piece of paper and a pencil. To get our brains thinking about math, we're going to do a warm-up activity called Which One Doesn't Belong? Look at the 4 pictures. 3 of the pictures go together in one way, while the 4th one doesn't belong. There isn't a wrong answer as long as you can explain why. Are you ready? Which picture doesn't belong and why? Number 1 doesn't belong because it's the only graph to represent data in multiple ways with tally marks as well as numbers. Number 2 doesn't belong because the graph represents data about M&Ms, while the other represent data about how to get to school. Number 3 doesn't belong because it uses words to represent the data, while the others use some sort of picture. Number 4 doesn't belong because it's the only graph that starts the data at the bottom. This is called a line graph. What do you notice about this line graph? I notice that there are 3 points on the graph. I notice that the graph is going up. What do you wonder about this line graph? I wonder what the points mean on the graph. I wonder what kind of data the graph is showing us. What new information did we learn? Look at the bottom of the graph. We were given information for the x-axis. The x-axis is the data that is across the bottom of the graph. We were given new information about time. What unit of time do you think the graph shows? Minutes, hours, weeks, years? The graph is showing us years. It shows us data from 2011, 2013, and 2017. What kind of data do you think the graph is showing us over years? What new information did we learn? Look to the left side of the graph. We now have the y-axis, which goes up the side of the graph. What is the y-axis counting by? The y-axis is counting by tens. About where does the dot fall in 2011? What do you think? It's probably around 5 because it looks like it's in the middle of 0 and 10. About where does the dot fall in 2013? It's probably about 15. What do you think the y-axis data represents? What new information did we learn? Look at the top of the graph. We learned what this graph is about. What is the graph about? This graph is about the average cell phone use by kids that are between the ages of 0 and 8 years old. We know that the x-axis represents years. After learning what this graph is about, what do you think the y-axis represents? Estimate the amount of mobile media usage in 2017. It's between 40 and 50. Is it closer to one of those numbers? It is closer to 50, so an estimate could be 48. What new information did we learn? We learned more information about the y-axis. The y-axis is on the left side of the graph. The y-axis is counting blank per day. What do you think the measurement is per day? What new information did we learn about the graph? We learned that the unit for the y-axis is minutes per day. Did kids' usage of cell phone media increase or decrease from 2011 to 2017? Kids' cell phone usage increased from 2011 to 2017. How do you know? What about the graph proves that it increased? We know that kids' usage increased. We know that it increased because the line on the graph goes up. Since the line in the graph is going up and the y-axis goes up by tens, we know that there is an increase. How much did it increase from 2011 to 2013? What are some strategies we could use to figure out the increase? The increase was by 10 minutes per day. How did you find the increase? You could have used an addition or subtraction strategy. Since 15 and 5 are both friendly numbers, I knew the difference between the two numbers was 10. How much did it increase from 2013 to 2017? What are some strategies you could use to figure out the increase? The increase was 33 minutes per day between 2013 and 2017. What strategies could you have used to figure this out? You could have used an addition or subtraction strategy. I used a counting strategy. First, I counted by tens from 15. 25, 35, 45. I know I can't count another 10 because I would go over. I counted by tens 3 times, so that's 30. Then I added 3 to go to 48. The increase was by 33 minutes per day. How much did it increase from 2011 to 2017? The increase between 2011 and 2017 was 43 minutes per day. I knew that because I could take the 10 minutes per day and the 33 minutes a day and combine those together. Before we go, let's reflect. What kind of data could you represent in a line graph? How did revealing information slowly help you think about this graph? In today's episode of Math Matters, we learned how to interpret a line graph. I'm Mrs. Parker. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.